Good morning. There is actually a bit of sunshine this morning and I have been soaking that up before I start my day. But I've also been reflecting quite a bit about how far we've come on our barn conversion over the last year. So let's get inside in front of the fire and talk about that. It is really nice to see the sun this morning, but there is also a bit of a bite in the air. Autumn is a very short season here and we are very aware that winter is on the way. But because it is coming towards the end of October and we are now in our fourth autumn in this tiny home, I have been looking back at how far we've come. Now, a little before this time last year, I think in about September, I posted a video about our third autumn in our tiny home. And at that point when I filmed the barn, it was basically 4 stone walls with the block walls inside. We had no roof on either side of the structure and we had no windows, and it was really just a shell. But so much has happened since then. Shortly after I filmed it, the big roof timbers started to go in. Then we had the big roof panels. These are insulated metal sheets that went on one side of the barn. And finally, at the start of this year, the original stone flags went back on the other side of the roof. And it wasn't long from there before we got the windows in. And then finally, in the last couple of months, we have put down all our underfloor heating pipe, put another layer of concrete in, and the building is now watertight. It really does look a lot more like a house from the outside. On a day-to-day level, it can feel like we're not getting very far, but looking back is really rewarding. We have made so much progress over the last year. But because of that, I can say that this will probably be our last autumn in the tiny house. Now, we're in a static caravan here. This was always a temporary measure. We have been in it longer than we thought we might be. We guessed at a couple of years and it's now probably going to be 4. But I think by next autumn we should be moved into the barn, even if things are not completely finished off. I really do foresee most of the big jobs left to do happening over the next 6 to 8 months. It is a little bittersweet to think we are in the last year in the tiny house. Living here has definitely had its difficulties. The water has frequently frozen up in winter. That has featured in vlogs before. We have had leaks in the roof. This caravan is really not fully weather tight for the kinds of gales and rain we get here in the hills. We've had leaks of other kinds. There have been issues with the toilet. Now, unfortunately, the floor in the bathroom is starting to give way, and it feels a little bit like we are racing against the decay of the caravan, trying to get into the barn before things here fall apart. But at the same time, living here has been such a key part of our lives. Our 7-year-old daughter will actually have lived in this caravan longer than she has lived in any other house we've been in. And for all its difficulties, it has been a really well-loved, cozy place to live. I'm sitting here in front of our beautiful fire. We have had so much fantastic family time here. I've written so many books sitting at the kitchen table. We've cooked meals, we've had parties. We have spent long weekends just lazing around in front of the fire, because one of both the drawbacks and the pluses of such a small space is that it does throw you together as a family. We really only have one main living space here and it is very small. We really spend all day every day when my daughter's not at school together. We do know that as our daughter gets older, she will want a bit more space, so we'll be very glad to be in the barn by then. But because she's been living here between the ages of 4 and 7, it has actually been really nice for her to grow up in such a small space. We have spent so much quality time together. And to be honest, living here has always been about that. We have really shaped our work lives to be together as a family, and the tiny house has just been part of that. So, like I said, a little bittersweet knowing that we are coming to the end of this journey. Obviously, we are really looking forward to moving into the barn. It is really a home we have designed from the ground up and been involved in every part of. But there have been a lot of fantastic memories made in this tiny home along the way. So for the rest of this week, I thought I would take you along. I will show you a bit more of the barn once the sun gets higher in the sky. You can see what we've been doing inside. And also, it's time to just soak up these last few days of autumn. It is really on the wane now here. There are not many leaves left on the trees, but let's make the most of it. Looks like we've got some trespassers. Good morning, welcome to Friday. It is a very still, cold, grey day. We actually thought we were going to catch the edge of a storm yesterday. I think it was Storm Benjamin, but it really completely passed us by. I don't know that it was much of a storm in the end anyway. We had a couple of hours of breezy weather. That was it. Today is looking similar. There is a little bit of blue sky peeking through the clouds. I'm honestly feeling quite groggy this morning. I could have slept much longer. The mornings are very dark at the moment. We are really getting up in the dark, even at 7 a.m. And once we get into this season, there is the rush to get up in the morning, to light the fire and to start warming the caravan up. There is really no time to lie around in bed in autumn and winter. So what do we have planned for today? The first thing is definitely day job work. We have to finish up the holiday let for the weekend. There is some cleaning left to do, and I think we're going to gather up some of the leaves around the house as well. That is always another big job at this time of year. Another thing that is happening today is that my dad is coming with the van to pick up a piece of machinery that we are hoping to sell. I am very behind on writing this week. I would have liked to be much further ahead, but life has just got in the way. So I might see what I can do to catch up on that. We are heading into the school holidays next week. That is going to be a really busy period for the day job. There is a power cut coming tomorrow, which is a bit inconvenient because we do have guests in the house, but we do at least know in advance that it's coming because it's planned maintenance work. And I think that's everything that's happening. So I think coffee might be my near future, but other than that, let's get on with the day. I've ended up having a much busier day today than I expected, so let's have a walk outside and I will show you what we've been up to. So this is the wall next to our drive. We had all this section redone by a local waller. Looks really good and a big improvement on what it was like. And then this gap was left so that the electric company could bring a cable through it and up the pole. And now today we've been filling it in. To be honest, a lot of the walls around the perimeter of our property are in a pretty terrible state. They are falling down around us. So it is an ongoing job to keep them standing upright. We've got about 5 days left in October, but it is already feeling very wintry out there. If I look out of the windows of the caravan, there are very few leaves left on the trees now. It's also turned quite wet and blustery and cold. So I've been hunkering down inside as much as possible, but there still has been work to do outside because there always is, whatever the weather. We've been doing more walling, more clearing up of leaves, and there just seems to be a never-ending list of jobs to do. It's also now very dark in the evenings because our clocks have just gone back. This always throws me both in autumn and in spring. I've been waking up really early and feeling very tired in the evenings. To be honest, it takes me a good couple of weeks to really adjust to the change of clocks. It really is a little bit like being slightly jet lagged. And honestly, as we get further into winter and I'm looking out at the weather that's rolling in, I'm not feeling very excited about what is to come. We always knew we were going to have at least one more winter in the caravan, but I am really not looking forward to it this year. I think we've just been working on the barn conversion for so long that I have reached the point with the end in sight that I am just so ready to be done. I've tried not to get to that state. I keep telling myself that it will be finished when it's finished, and I am still reminding myself of that now. But at the same time, it does finally feel like the finishing line is in sight, which means another winter of frozen water pipes and having to light the fire every day just is not very appealing right now. About all I can do is try to romanticize it. Although it takes a lot of work to maintain, we do really like having the wood burning stove in here. It is very cozy on a cold day. There are also really nice views from the caravan. We are raised up a bit here, which means we have a good view over our fields, we can see the hills, we can see the bird feeders. And there are definitely days when we light the fire and make a cup of coffee and all sit round together as a family, and I absolutely would not be anywhere else. So I'm trying to remind myself of that in the colder and darker days, because honestly right now when I look out of the window at the grey skies, I could honestly just skip winter and go straight to spring. Here we are with one of the less glamorous parts of tiny home living. It is 6 p.m. in the evening. It is absolutely pitch dark outside. I did not get a chance to bring in more firewood today, so I'm going to have to venture into the shed now. Honestly, cheap head torches have been one of the most useful things we have ever bought, so I'm going to make use of this one now. I thought I would do a quick barn tour while the sun is out and it's a bit lighter in here. We still have no electricity in the barn, so we are really relying on extension cords and natural light. It is really echoey in here, of course. It is still just a concrete shell, but our in-laws saw it again a couple of weeks ago and they were really impressed by how far we've come. From the very ruinous shell that we started with here, it is finally starting to look like a house. So let's have a look round. I'm standing by the front door here. This is going to be our kitchen. Then we pan across to the corridor to the bedrooms. This side is the dining room. We've got massive high ceilings in here and the huge glulam beam. This really is the standout room in the barn conversion. It's big, it's bright, and it has this fantastic view. Obviously, this is going to look better when there aren't piles of building materials and the caravan in the way, but you can see the trees, our fields, and the hills beyond. I don't think I will ever get tired of this view. Now, next to the dining room, we do actually finally have some stairs. The barn is on 3 levels because it's built into a hillside. So these lead us down to our living room. Again, this is a bit of a dumping ground, massive amounts of rubbish and the old dryer in here. We've got the big vaulted ceiling again. This is a much smaller, darker and hopefully cosier room. But it does have another lovely view looking out over the fields. Again, will be much improved when we don't have piles of rubbish and machinery everywhere. Now we're standing at the entrance to the corridor. We have got on this side our office. On the other side of the corridor, we have this cupboard, complete with all utilities. There's the underfloor heating. If we go a little bit further down, this is our daughter's bedroom. And on the other side, the bathroom. Lots of plumbing going on in here. We have already started to buy bathroom fixtures. And the final room is our bedroom. We're looking back up the corridor here. No steps there yet. This is again on a different level. Little ensuite there, and the rest of the bedroom. I think it's hard to get a sense of scale on the camera. This is a massively high ceiling. It's actually quite hard to know what to do with it. But the bed will go on this side and some wardrobes over here. Looking back the other way, you can see the ensuite on the right. This area here was originally going to be the utility room, and there was going to be a corridor across here to this door. We've done away with that because we have a big sort of shed utility room out here. It does mean our laundry will be out in a separate building, but by doing that, we've gained all this space. I am definitely picturing bookshelves on this wall and a cozy reading chair. I'm really looking forward to that. And again, the view. It is cut off because of the utility room, which you can see on the left-hand side. This was an existing building that we've rebuilt. I think when it was a barn, it might have had a milking machine in. So it does spoil the view a little bit, but it's such useful extra space. And what we have left of the view is still pretty special. So there is the barn tour. There is also a 1-bedroom annex next door, which will be another holiday let. There's honestly not a lot to see in there at the moment. It's quite short on windows. So until we get the electric in, it is very, very dark. But we are immensely pleased with what we've built so far. It has taken 3 years to get to this point. We really started off with an absolute shell of a building, just stone walls, most of them with no mortar, and a very leaky roof. From that point, we have taken out the original concrete floor. We have completely repointed the original building. We have underpinned it. We have firmed up the tops of the walls. We have built this concrete block shell inside the existing walls. There has been a concrete subfloor. The roof then went on. We've got tin sheets on one side and the original stone slates on the other. Then all the windows and doors went in. Recently, we have put the underfloor heating in, and then another concrete layer of screed on top of that. And yes, 3 years in the making. We now have a watertight shell that is hopefully going to get electric in the next few weeks. There's obviously been a massive amount of work outside as well. Not just maintaining the property, we have planted trees, we have rebuilt some of the stone walls that were falling down, but we have dug and dug and dug. All the electrical cables had to be dug in from the pole. We have dug what has felt like miles of sewage pipe and drainage pipe to take the water off the roof. We have put in a new septic tank. That was a massive job and the first thing we did. The thing is at this stage is that a lot of the hard work is now covered over again. You can't tell we've even done it, but it has been such a journey. The fact that we could be living in here within the next year is astonishing to me, because there have definitely been days when I've thought it was never going to be finished. So there is still a lot more work to do, obviously. All the electrics have to go in. The plumbing is halfway done. Everything has to be boarded and plastered. There's kitchens and bathrooms to go in. There will be more electrics after that. Then, of course, decorating, woodwork, doors, skirting boards, that sort of thing. But to see how far we've come is pretty amazing. A few days into November now, and honestly this month started with a bit of a bang. Apparently in the first 2 days of the month in this area we had half of November's average rainfall, and to be honest it has barely stopped raining since. Whilst we haven't had any direct flooding round about the house, there was a train derailment caused by a landslip on the nearby railway line. A lot of the rivers and little becks roundabout are very high. There was a chance our daughter's school was going to be closed yesterday or today, although that didn't end up happening. I think the water is starting to go down now. So a bit of a dramatic start to the month, and we've also been incredibly busy with work. We had a bit of a last autumn rush for the school half-term holidays, and now things are going to be quieter until we reach Christmas, which I think is probably pretty common in the hospitality trade. But I think it is now time to wrap this autumnal vlog up. Not only is it starting to feel very wintry here, although we haven't had any really cold temperatures yet, but it just feels that we are about to enter a new season of our lives and work, as well as with the weather. It has been really nice to show you around the property again, to show you what we've been doing to the barn and how much progress we've made, and to share a few autumn days on the small holding. I am hoping to film another of these tiny home vlogs as we get into winter. I really want to document what may be our last year in the caravan, because it feels right now like our life is shifting in just so many ways. So I want to make the most of these last few months, even if I am very eagerly awaiting what comes next. So I hope the autumn or spring, depending on where you live, is treating you well. As ever, thank you for being here, and I will see you next time.